Hello, guys. Welcome to the Barca Chronicles, and today I have an interesting story to share with you. Um, as you might have heard, Marc Casado could be on his way to the Premier League, and when I heard this, I was just as surprised as you were because Marc Casado was literally one of our best players in the first round of last season. So to hear him making a potential move to the Premier League could come as a surprise to some of us who watched him very well last season and thought he was one of our bright spots in the first round of the season. So let's get right into the story and see the dynamics of it. Okay, but don't forget to share, like, and subscribe for more stories. Okay, all right. FC Barcelona's La Masia has produced some of the biggest talents that football has ever heard of. You could talk about Xavi, Iniesta, Sergio Busquets, just to mention a few. And it's a tradition that we all know that Barcelona grooms talents from the La Masia. And then when all angles are exhausted, they just turn to La Masia and just pick talents out of there like nobody's business. So this is something that we all know. It's a tradition of FC Barcelona. And as fans, we expect that we always have the best talent coming out of La Masia, dominating the first team. But Marc Casado could be on his way to the Premier League, and that's that's not looking great for FC Barcelona at all because he was one of our best players last season. And for those unfamiliar, Marc Casado was one of our best players in the first round of the season. I mean, you guys remember when Frankie de Jong wasn't really hitting it under Hansi Flick? You remember? Yeah, Marcus Casado was the guy. And as far as my memory serves me, in our first Champions League match of last season against Bayern Munich, almighty Bayern Munich, this guy literally dominated Bayern's midfield. And a few days after that, in our first El Clasico at the Santiago Bernabeu, this guy gave an assist to Robert Lewandowski for his first goal. You guys remember, right? Hmm. So to hear this news about him making the move to the Premier League doesn't look nice at all. At just 20 years old, he is a defensive midfielder who has earned comparisons to Sergio Busquets thanks to his composure, his positional awareness, and leadership on the pitch. He's not the flashiest player, but his ability to break up play, recycle possession, and control the tempo makes him a vital asset in our team. I mean, you can't dispute that. All right. Despite his talent, after Frankie de Jong broke into the first team, minutes for Marc Casado wasn't really there, and Hansi Flick preferred the combination of Pedri and Frankie de Jong for teams that look to sit back against FC Barcelona. So for Marc Casado, he had his moments in the first round of the season, and with competitions rising in Barcelona's midfield with the return of Marc Bernal, who is not even back from injury yet, many people are tipping him to be ahead of Marc Casado in the pecking order. So if you were Marc Casado, a potential move to the Premier League wouldn't be bad at all, right? So why the Premier League? This is where the Premier League comes in. Several English clubs have been scouting Casado. I mean, they are impressed by his tactical discipline and his work rate, which we all saw glimpses of last season. The Premier League's fast-paced physical style could be a challenge because, I mean, their the way they play their football in England is different from the way Spain plays their football. So it could be a bit of a mismatch for him. And you know, the La Masia system teaches players to play the Barcelona way. So I'm not quite sure if he's going to fit in at the Premier League, whichever club he ends up in. But I think it's also the perfect environment for a player to like him to develop because he will be getting minutes where I mean it wouldn't be guaranteed for him to get in FC Barcelona. So I could understand his frustration, I could understand his desire to move to the Premier League for minutes. With the World Cup coming in 2026, I'm sure he'll be eyeing a spot in that Spain midfield. So a move to the Premier League wouldn't be bad at all. Clubs like Brighton, Brentford, and even Aston Villa have all been linked or known for giving young players opportunities to shine. So, what does this potentially mean for FC Barcelona? For Barcelona, I think losing Casado would be another blow to their academy project. La Masia graduates leaving for greener pastures. I mean, it has become a trend for the last few years, especially with Barcelona's financial difficulties in recent times. Players like Elias Moriba, Xavi Simons, Ricky Puig, um, even recently Pablo Torre. I don't know Pablo. Is Pablo Torre a La Masia guy? I'm not quite sure, but there has been instances where players from the La Masia breaking into the first team have gone to other clubs or have moved to other clubs just because they are lacking minutes in the first team. And this is becoming a trend. So if Casado succeeds or potentially moves to England, questions will once again be raised about how Barca manages its young talents. And this is not looking nice for Barcelona at all because last season against Barcelona against Real Madrid and Bayern Munich, this guy was the engine room of Barcelona. So for me as a Barca fan, I don't see this looking good for us at all. This is literally going to be one of our biggest regrets if it indeed goes through. But on the flip side, what does this mean for Casado's career? For Casado himself, the move could be career defining. Like I said, instead of waiting years for chances at Camp Nou, he would get immediate exposure at the highest level in the Premier League. And the Premier League is they have a bit of manipulation over the media. He could get a lot of hype, which I believe a young talent like Casado could be looking for the world to know who he is, for him to have the world at his feet, like Pedri and the other guys are doing in the first team now. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure he's going to turn it down eventually. Uh, With regular game time, he could develop into one of Europe's most complete defensive midfielders. Casado's potential Premier League move is a reminder of how competitive modern football has become. Barcelona might be losing a future star while the Premier League gains yet another gem from Lamas. But the question still remains, will Casado thrive in England's intensity? Barcelona regrets letting him slip away. I mean, what do you think? Should Casado stay and fight for his place at Barcelona? Or is the Premier League the right step for him? Let us know your thoughts in the comments and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more football stories. Thank you.